Hey everyone, welcome back to White Pine Homestead. Today we're going to do a video on cooking from my pantry, how I make my do-it-yourself cream of soup mix where I don't buy cream of soup mixes anymore, and just show you how you can easily whip something that's tasty, yummy, healthy for the family, and it's just simple things from my everyday pantry. All right, we'll be right back with that. Okay everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is make the do-it-yourself cream of soup mix. Like I said, I no longer buy them. This is super simple. It doesn't take much. We're going to go ahead and whip that together first, and then as we're doing that, we can talk about how you can make this more like the cream of soup that you purchased at the store. Also, as we're going through, I'm going to talk to you about variations of how you could throw this casserole together based on what you may have in your pantry. Let's get started. So basically this casserole consists of my cream of soup, whatever meat you're choosing to use, some potatoes, and a vegetable. So what I'm using today are my canned potatoes, right? So here's my canned potatoes. I did a couple 100 pounds of these this year. And they're great to just throw out and make your mashed potatoes or whatever the case may be. So we're going to drain these, and then I cut them up smaller. So they're just kind of bite-sized chunks, and those will be mixed. We'll show you that here in a minute. If you did not have those, let me see, where did I put it? Oh, here we go. If you did not have those in your pantry, you might already have some pre-diced tomatoes, or you might have these whole new potatoes, and you could just cut those up, do the same thing. So 2 cans of these would basically be the equivalent of a quart jar of my potatoes. So your pantry might have something like that you could throw in there. Also, I'm going to use my canned squash, but you don't have to use canned squash. You could use canned green beans, canned corn, canned carrots. It could be really whatever you want to do. It could be frozen. It could be frozen spinach. You really can just play with this however you want, the consistencies that you like your food to be, and just the things that your family enjoys eating. Now I want to say that when I drain this, I am not going to waste this fluid. This is nice, good vegetable stock that was made when I canned these. So I will save this fluid to make a soup later on this week. And then the hamburger, like I said, I'm browning that up right now, and that's fabulous because I need to use it. But I also have canned hamburgers. So if I really just wanted to open these 3 jars of things up and make my meal, I could whip this meal out really quickly. The other thing is you might have canned chicken or canned turkey or something along those lines that you would enjoy in there. It's really a versatile meal. Versatile, is that right? Yeah, versatile meal that you can just whip together. I'm also going to put some shredded cheese on the very end of my meal when I'm finished here, which you'll see. But I also do carry dehydrated cheese, or no, freeze-dried, I'm sorry. And I plan to start freeze-drying my own cheese in our freeze dryer, but I actually have not attempted that yet. That's something we haven't done, but I do keep some of it in my pantry just in case, like last year when we had, or I guess it's been 2 years ago now, when everything happened and we went on the original lockdown and we couldn't run to the store, I had cheese if I needed to use that. So these are just things that I like to keep on hand in my pantry so that we're prepared. All right, so let's get it whipped up. All right, the first thing we're going to do is melt 2 tablespoons of butter, and then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour, and we're making a roux, just like you do if you were making a gravy or something like that. Now, the big thing here that I want you to know is that when you're making this cream of soup, you could do this with lots of different ingredients. I'm telling you what I primarily use. I'm using a whole wheat flour. You could use an all-purpose flour. You could use whatever flour you have had. You could use almond flour. You do not have to use wheat, any type of a wheat flour for this. So you could actually, if you want to make this vegan, you could use coconut oil instead of butter. 2 tablespoons, melt that down. Add your 2 tablespoons of flour, whatever flour you're using. And we're just going to kind of make sure that this is cooked down nice, and you want to keep whisking it until it has a nice blend, a nice consistency. And then you're going to, once this is all nice and blended, which I'm pretty happy with it here, then we're going to add 1.5 cups of milk. Now the type milk you use is also up to you. Do a little at a time. You could use almond milk, you could use coconut milk, you could use fat-free powdered milk that you've had to put together from your pantry. I had milk in my fridge, so that's what I'm using, but I do keep powdered whole milk in my refrigerator. I'm sorry, not my refrigerator, in my pantry. And then I just keep stirring this a bit to get the, make sure that it is getting blended well. And then I put it up just a tad because now we have to warm up the milk. Once this has warmed up, it will start cooking down and thickening. And we want to get it to whatever consistency you're wanting for your cream of soup. Now you can make it a little runnier, you could make it thicker. It really depends on your goal. So we're going to let this cook down a little bit and come back and take a look at the consistency we're working towards. And while we are waiting on that to thicken, Ruth Mary is shredding our cheese for the top of our quick and easy casserole that we are making today. Thank you for being such a good helper, Ruth Mary.
You're welcome, Mommy.
Good job. Okay, we've got a pretty good heat on this right now, and it is thickening up. I think you can see that on the side walls. And we need to keep stirring at this point so that we don't scald our milk. And I have it on low, but we just keep going as it gets to the thickness that we want it to have. Okay, we are getting the thickness we want. Basically, we want to cook this down. We started out with 1.5 cups of fluid, and we want to cook it down to 1.25 cups, which would be the equivalent of a can of cream of soup, whatever type you're using. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that if you're wanting to flavor this to be like, the kinds you're used to buying at the store, you could put in some dehydrated celery. You could powder up some dehydrated celery, add that in there to make your cream of celery. If you wanted it to be cream of chicken, you could have maybe foregone some of the milk and added in some bone broth, whether that be beef or chicken, to give it that flavor. I just really don't find that's necessary for me. Most of the time I'm just using this as a thickening agent of some kind, and then I just flavor my casserole or whatever the case of what I'm making with the seasonings in my cupboard. And so that never really seems to be something I feel the need to flavor. If you needed to do cream of mushroom, anyone that knows me knows I would not be making that because I am not a fan of mushrooms. But you could take dehydrated mushrooms and powder those up and flavor it with that as well to have cream of mushroom soup. Yeah, so this is one way to eliminate having to buy cream of soup. I had talked to my dad the other day, and he had said the price of cream of mushroom soup, where he lives up in Alaska, or cream of soup, I don't know which one, has gone absolutely skyrocketed. It was ridiculous, the price that he shared with me. And I thought I should share it with you guys and anyone else that might be affecting in that way, how we combat that here in this house and are no longer spending that kind of money. This cost very little for me to make this way. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how well this has cooked down. I'll just be removing it from the heat and letting it sit a bit to thicken a little further. All right, let's throw this together. Like I said, it's a super simple casserole. We've got our pound of hamburger. Like I showed you before, you could be using a pound of any meat you wanted to, whether you pull it out of your freezer or something you already have canned. The other thing I didn't show earlier is that I have my dehydrated hamburger as well. I could have taken about half of this, hydrated it, and threw it in here as well. So that would have been super simple too. And then we're going to put in our jar of squash, and I saved the juice out of here to use in a soup later this week. And then we're going to put in our potatoes. Now the potatoes are way bigger than I want them to be for my casserole. So that's when at this time I just kind of chunk them up and make them a bit smaller. Now obviously if you were using those other canned potatoes that I showed you earlier, you wouldn't need to take that step. Well, not the cut up ones anyways. The ones that are in the little round, the new potatoes I guess they're called, those you could easily just cut up kind of like I'm doing here to get the consistency that you're wanting. All right, let me finish cutting these up. Like I said, this casserole really takes no time at all to whip together, and my kids absolutely love it. It's a very savory casserole. It's just, you know, good home cooked meals. And my kids really love that. They love soups and home cooked meals. And well, you know, it's kind of what they've been raised on. It's what I was raised on. It's kind of how I cook. There was a period of time, I remember in my 20s, where I really got into like Pampered Chef and things like that. Nothing wrong with that and those meals. But I will tell you that it's just not the way I normally cook. Those are more holidays or parties or things like that. It's fun to have those things upon occasion. I think they're pretty impractical for the normal pantry. If you're trying to live out of your pantry or grow your own food, like I said, a lot of those things are kind of impractical for that purpose. Not saying they're bad, and absolutely by all means make some fancy dishes and enjoy them, but pretty much our family is just good home cooked meals, pretty basic, and we enjoy them. All right, we've got all the potatoes cut up. The next thing we're going to do is just add our seasoning. And for me in my house, go-to wise, that's almost always going to be granulated garlic, salt, and pepper. We are huge garlic fans in this house. And yeah, that's pretty much what we go to on most things. Now, you could add, say, let's go ahead and put the cream of soup in here. You could add, now I did not let this cool off enough to where it looks a lot thicker when I poured it just now, but had I, it would. But because this is going right in the oven here in a minute, it didn't really matter to me if I did that. But you can see that it is still thicker. It's just not as thick had I let it sit up a little longer. You could have put onions in here. You could have put all kinds of stuff. Like I said, this is just a basic casserole that we really enjoy eating. And it is one of my kids' favorite, I have found. My nephew, he comes to visit. He really likes this one too. My niece would just eat meat all the time if that's all you gave her. She's a little meat eater. Ruth Mary used to be like that too. She's gotten some bigger taste buds since then, thankfully. But yeah, branched out a bit. All right, there is our basic casserole that you could play with and do however you want. Ruth Mary did a lovely job getting the cheese ready. So we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on there. And we don't want to overdo it. So we'll have a little bit of cheese left over here, and then we're just going to stick that in the oven at 350 for about 35 minutes. And then we'll take a look. And it's ready. is a very bubbly dish. We'll go ahead and let that sit up, let you see the final bit of it, and we'll chat with you. All right, there is our yummy dish. So you can see that it thickens up, and we just really, really enjoy this dish. We're going to go ahead and see what the kids think of it here in just a minute. Okay, you two, it's kind of hot, so you might need to blow on your bite. Check it out. Tell everyone what you think.
That's really, really good.
I know you guys like this meal.
Yummy! It's great!
All right, I'm glad you guys like it. All right, I'll get you a separate bowl now so you can each have your own. All right, everybody, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's, like I said, a really easy casserole that my kids obviously like. They've had it before, but I thought you could see their reactions because, yeah, it's one of their favorite meals to eat. So that's it for this week. We're going to try and do a little bit more of these kind of videos periodically just to help you with some ideas of cooking out of your pantry and making things go further. Kind of like the suggestion of don't throw out that vegetable juice that can be used towards soup this week. Yeah, just let's not waste. Let's use what we have and use it as far as we can. All right, everyone. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye. Not so much what's on sale or anything like that. So I just want to show you how I'm cooking from my pantry. I didn't like that at all. Pretty simple casserole that I like to make. The first thing we're going to do is make the do-it-yourself do-it-yourself condensed soup. Okay, the first thing, oops.